Hello, Internet. No point trying to be subtle. Not today. We need a lot of room, so we're just going to need to take the room. So, what I wanted to show you is this might be a quick video, might not. Famous last words, right? But kind of want to show you something that I've been working on. Oh, is that the arrow? Oh, it sure is. Look at that stonewash we got going on. We've set ourselves up with a little stonewashing rig. So I kind of went, it's not so much a DIY as it is like a BIY, like just buy it yourself. Because I was looking at trying to set one up, and it just seemed like such a hassle to get a drill set up and get things mounted and find something that didn't leak, find something that didn't make too much noise, find something that was stable. So rather than trying to set some whole setup up, I went out and spent about 80 bucks and got fully hooked up. So finish is pretty good with what I've been playing around with. So I was really looking for like a deeper, wider stonewash pattern, but this feels like almost polished. This is really nice. So I'm really liking how this comes out. So, and you guys know me, you know I like my polish, so it feels really polished, feels really smooth. I'm really digging the feel of this. So it's given a new lease on life to a lot of spinners as well. So this is the arrow. Came out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. This one I'm really happy with. This is the Tri-X. And if you look at it in the right light, you can still see the machining lines, but you still see a little bit of the stonewash, and it's just removed all the hot spot issues the machine version had. Like, it's just so smooth on all the corners now. Threw a hex super bearing in there. Whew. Magical. This thing's really good. Sorry, my fingers are in kind of rough shape. Just really, really happy with how they came out. Let's keep taking a look here. Now, I had started doing this with just like stones that I found in the driveway that I did on this guy. So if you really look at this one, you can see all those little dents that were from the stones before, and that's given it kind of a neat look too. But I've since switched to ceramic media and just playing around with it. There's still more trial that needs to be done, but I thought I'd show this to you guys because it's really easy to do. The laser etch is still there just a little bit, but not really. We'll put you down. Now I did not do this whole spinner, but I did these zero feud brass buttons, and they were just a little too smooth before. They had like a polish on it that I just, you know, all things aside, I like my polish, right? But I just wasn't really happy with those. This has given this guy a new lease on life. You know, it's funny, I say, I guess, maybe I just talk a lot of shit. You know, I like aluminum buttons, or I don't find like they detract that much, and then all of a sudden I throw other buttons on there, and then I fall in love, right? Like my Wusa Chakra, for example, had aluminum buttons, and I was like, yeah, these buttons aren't that bad, and they're not. They're still all right, but man, stainless steel and brass buttons and things like that just are a whole different story. So, and the stonewash on this brass came out all right. Again, it's a pretty fine stonewash, but we're happy with that. So let's take a look at this. This is the Sonder. Now, I'm really happy with this, how this came out. Now, this was the media blasted version, and I gave it a stonewash. And I don't know why my hands are making it all humidy, like all condensation-y, but I gave this a stonewash, and then I put it in the flitz. I gave it a flitz metal polish on everything but the buttons. So the buttons are pretty close to how it came out, and it's cool because the media can't get all the way in there. So it gives it a pretty cool look, especially in the buttons. And let me tell you, this thing is good. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I undersold it in my review, to be honest. I don't think I really said anything bad. I just don't think I really hyped it up. And like, this thing is now choice. Of course, I always like when I put custom work on things. So, but I'm really loving the Sonder right now. I got to be honest, guys. So, anyway, we'll set you down. So what are we going to do? Oh, and then the last one. This has basically just become my trial piece. Like, I actually like how this spins. It's just a little off balance, and it's got a little up and down wobble. Right, you see that? See how that's spinning? It's not quite even up and down. So I really am enjoying the spinner for testing things out. But yeah, the finish came out all right. And this one, again, went in with a stone, so it's got all these little dents, and then it's got the stone wash. So, but today we're going to be throwing in, oh, and I did some buttons. So these buttons are going to go back in, because they came out all right, removed most of the hot spots. But I'd really want to smooth it down on this a little bit more. So these are going to go back in the rig today. And I'm just going to show you the rig. Buttons, we're also going to throw C3 in. Sweet. We're going to throw in, I already threw these buttons in. I just didn't like sort of like the media blast that they had, and now I really like the feel of these buttons. So these are circulator buttons. Woo! Dropped it, that's all right. We're going to throw this in. You know, I really enjoyed this one, but after having the stainless steel, whatever that coating is on there, I'm not super. I actually think I would like it a little bit, you know, blasted down. So we'll see what the what the Stonewash does to something with a finish. Again, I'm playing around and learning and seeing what's what. Let me tell you as well, side note, this bearing retention ring was on super tight. I think I remembered someone saying like, oh, it's on there pretty tight. I'm like, I don't remember having a problem with it, and I don't think I just tried to take the bearing off because it was on there tight. Look what it did to my bearing removal tool. So it actually has a nice little twist. It still works. It's kind of neat looking, but yeah, that was in there tight. I had to put vice grips to this to get it off. And then what else are we going to put in there? The C3 buttons. These are just too smooth. Maybe it'll do something for them, maybe it won't. And then what are we going to put in there? Wait, what is that? That's right. I hammered and battle damaged my Spinetic X. So we're going to throw that in the Stonewashing rig, take off some of the hot spots, see how it works. Again, all trial. Hammered the buttons too. Put a little battle damage on the buttons. I think it looks pretty sweet. Feels pretty cool. I like the hammer feeling of those buttons. So that's going to go in the rig. So we're going to throw all that stuff in the rig. Where's the rig? Right here's the rig. So look at what we got in there. So it's just ceramic media. Now in this particular one, it says to fill it, I don't know, between 1/2 and 3/4 and about no more than 3 pounds. So about just a little bit over the ceramic media and water is about where I go. And it's just this stuff. I'll put links in the Amazon. It's got little pieces and big pieces to try and get a bigger scratch pattern. I'm using mostly the bigger pieces. There are some little ones in there if you really look. Maybe you can see them in there. But they're probably just all settled to the bottom. But I mainly just put in the big ones. So this is the 5-pound bag, which is more than enough. But trying to get enough big pieces. I think it was like, for the price difference from 1 pound to 2 pounds to 5 pounds, it seemed like it made sense to get 5 pounds. Because that will wear out eventually. So it isn't fancy, it isn't rocket science. We're just going to throw this in there. And I've taken some old junk bearings, and since putting them in here, they've basically just seized up entirely, like they don't spin at all. We put some junk bearings in there, and then we just, to try and keep all the media and sanding grit kind of ruining the threads. It doesn't seem like it really is an issue, but the threads got pretty dirty when I did this first, so I'm trying to hold this in front of the camera and not bump the camera. Okay, let's just throw it all in there. Now it seems like it shakes it around pretty well. But I do try to like push the stuff in there so that it's not all stacked up on top of each other. There we go, get that in there. Nothing too wild, nothing too crazy, it gets in there and it tumbles around. So we're going to throw the cap on it. Now the cap's a couple pieces. It's this little rubber piece. Now I tried using WD-40 and I don't know if it ruined this and stretched this out. Like this top part, if you notice, is all kind of like stretched out. So when I first had it, this side here sat flush against the lip like that. But when I took it out with the WD-40, this all like stretched out. And again, I don't know if it normally happens that way, but instead of this part being flush against the side, it just pushes this side up. So it still gets us a good seal. We just kind of push that on like that. And then this is a little bit tricky, but it might be part of how it got stretched out. But this piece here, you really got to kind of squeeze around and kind of work it around to get it to fit. It's a little hard to do it on camera here. But you just got to kind of keep working around until it all fits in there. And I think it stretched out like it wasn't supposed to be honest. I don't think it was supposed to stretch like that, but it is what it is and it still works. So we'll fumble with this for a minute. All right, now once we got it on, just try and pull everything tight. Pull it all down as tight as you can. It should be close. And then the O-ring washer goes on. And this screws on kind of tight, kind of puts pressure, kind of holds everything together. And then it should be something like that. And then this side goes, I'm just bumping into all the spinners. Nothing too fancy like that. And there's a little on switch. That's all the noise she makes, so it's a little noisy. Now, it doesn't go super fast, and it seems like it takes a while to really do the work. So, for me, I found that it really needs somewhere in the neighborhood of I've been leaving it overnight and for like 10 to 12 hours, and it seems to be doing pretty good results. I'm not sure if less time can be used, but we're just going to leave it in there for a while, and maybe we'll come back and we'll be able to take it out and take a look at it with you guys. There it is. We'll let it ride. All right, everyone, where were we? For you, that was a pretty quick little pause. For me, move this over here. It was about 7 hours. You know what else we're gonna need? Hold on. We're gonna need this. I find that this lid gets awfully stuck, so. You know what? Well, you'll see what it looks like in there. We're gonna have to pause it. We're gonna have to pause it because it just makes a bit of a mess in there. So we're probably gonna have to rinse it out a little bit before we can see our goodies. So, and can we just say, let's take a second. I've been spinning this all afternoon. This just feels fantastic right now. I just gave the bearing a good clean. We're gonna retest the spin time on this because they upgraded the bearings in the second version of these. So I'm expecting some good spin times. It feels pretty loose, which for a hybrid ceramic is a good thing in terms of spin time. So I think she could be a spin time beast, but she's been feeling good all afternoon. The way that brass looks tumbled like this and sort of polished and then flitzed, like it's just got a little bit of texture. Very nice in the hands. Let's pop this off. All right. Now you can see that we've definitely removed a lot of material here. Interesting. Oh yeah, you can still see a little bit of the finish. So this one will probably have to go in a little bit longer still, but interesting. And then, let's see how this really is coming out. All right, so let's pause this. I'll pause it with my nose. My. All right, that came out pretty good. So this, electroplated brass stuff from Stealth definitely needs more time in there for sure. I think it'll probably just turn it brass by the looks of things. You can see a little bit of the clear coat or whatever's on there still left, but I don't know how deep that color goes, but I'm curious to find out. So this is going to spend some more time in there for sure. Soften these buttons up a little bit more. They were already pretty soft, but I think they're pretty good. You can still feel it a little bit in there, but not too bad. So these are good. Look at this. Tell you, it's a nice, I'm pretty happy with that finish. Not gonna lie, hit this up with some flits and it'll really sparkle. And then the one I'm really excited about, look at this. Hammered Battle Worn X, and the balance, I didn't even try to keep the balance even, but let's look at where the balance is. Oops, off the camera. It's off a little bit, but not by much. Not by much. And, rounded those edges definitely a little bit more, but just look how good it looks. And some of the Stealth logo is still visible, or Spinetic logo is still visible in there. You can see that. See those rings a little bit. Neato. Feels good. You can see those edges are pretty well rounded, pretty well softened. And I never really had hot spots with this guy to begin with, but So there you go, y'all. Little do-it-yourself, sort of buy-it-yourself, BIY, buy-it-yourself stonewashing rig, and then just throw stuff in there, play around with it, have some fun. New lease on life for some of your spinners, and then maybe, just maybe you too, can strike gold. All right, that was bad even for me, but kisses, y'all.